In this video, the founder of leadcapture.io, John Perini, is going to break down exactly how to build landing pages using the LeadCapture next gen software that they have built that is honestly a game changer in the lead generation space. I think it's going to replace the need for unbalanced and landing page builders. It's going to be able to do it all inside of LeadCapture with AI, and so you can get rid of a lot of other tools. So he shows you some best practices in this video, and this was a call that was done live in Leadbase Pro, but I'm releasing it to you guys because I truly believe this is really the only piece of software you need when you're starting your lead generation business, and even beyond. We don't have a ton of tools, and LeadCapture is it's the first thing that I would personally pay for. And yes, there is a link in the description to get 20% off. So I am biased, but we run millions in traffic through our LeadCapture funnels every single year. So I definitely believe in them and can vouch for them. And as always, guys, if you want to be able to join calls like this, we have 3 or 4 of them every single week in Leadbase Pro, which you can join, link in the description. So you're getting a full-on course that's going to show you how to build a lead generation business, but you're also getting these live calls with people like John, who's literally the founder of LeadCapture. He's in the group. He's helping people out. We have guys doing over 100K in sales. We have myself, my business partner. You have a ton of experience and a ton of engagement in the group as well. So you can post in the group and get help with what you're working on. Again, whether it's a lead generation business, but even if you're just trying to get better at meta ads or you want to generate leads for your own business, that is what Leadbase Pro is for. And it's only $99 a month. You can cancel anytime if you don't like it. It's a no-brainer, guys. But anyways, let's jump into the video, and John is going to break down exactly step by step. This video is great for beginners, by the way, how to build a funnel with LeadCapture using AI in just a few minutes. Let's jump into it. But I thought it'd be cool just to get John to kind of walk us through, maybe some of your thought process or things that you've added, things that you're working on. We've been using the next gen tool quite a bit now and loving it so far. Like usually Ryan does a lot of our quiz stuff, but I went in and made one in like 3 seconds, and I was like, this is pretty sweet. So, and we're already, running a lot of traffic through it. So yeah, I wanted to kind of hand it off to John. We can kind of, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, John. We can also do some Q&A at the end, and I'm here to learn as well. So take it away.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. So first of all, can you hear me okay? I could not find my mic, my headphones, so I'm just kind of winging it and hoping
Yep.
sounds okay, perfect.
I'm great.
So I have a few slides to walk through, and I'm going to spend most of the time just diving deep into the platform and just kind of walking through and trying to share some nuggets here and there. Figured I would share like a full deck later. Ryan, I can hand that to you, and if you want to share that, feel free. But that will be available as a resource. So let's just, am I able to share my screen? Let's see how this works. I've never done this in Skool. Is this Zoom?
I got no idea. I think
Share
it's
screen. Let's see. Yep. All right. Looks like this will work.
Oh, my bad. I was muted. You're good now.
Can you see this? It says LeadCapture Next Gen.
No, we see black.
Okay.
Try one more time.
Maybe I need to be in. I'm in an incognito window, so maybe I need to try this one. Can you see this? Is it still black?
No, it's still black for some reason. Skool is a little finicky sometimes, so you need to.
I swear I know how to use computers.
You can you have enough to back that up, I think.
Let's see here. I do not know how to.
See if I try and see what happens here. Yeah, if you have to jump out and jump back in. Oh,
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, try one more time because I have to allow screen sharing. I think I already did, but
Like unshare maybe. Hold on, I'll stop sharing.
yeah.
Share screen. Entire screen. Okay. I think that's working.
It looks promising. Yeah.
Can you see this? It says LeadCapture IO Next Gen.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Figured it out. So not going to walk through this whole deck because that would be boring. Instead, I'll dive into the platform. But first, let's just go through a few slides here. I need structure or else I'm just going to ramble. So here's the structure I created for myself. This is what we're going to be covering today. We're going to dive into basically how to build the lead funnel, going from concept to full funnel in minutes. And that was really one of the driving forces behind why we built Lead Capture Next Gen. And I'll dive into that in a moment. The next part will be some features we have and just some things to pay attention to when it comes to improving lead quality. Then we're going to dive into how to use some of our features for measuring, reviewing results, and testing. We just launched our split test feature, I think on like Friday of last week. So pretty excited about that, and I think there's a lot of potential there. And then questions, if you want me to review a funnel, I'm more than happy to do that. I'll try to leave plenty of time for questions. And let's just dive into the next slide here. So there's like 3 slides here, and then I'll dive into the platform. Just to kind of clear this up, because this might be confusing, we essentially have 2 platforms now. So there's Classic and Next Gen. So if you hear me say Classic, I'm referring to Lead Capture, we could call it 1.0. Next Gen is kind of like 2.0. So some of you who are here may have used Classic in the past. Some of you might be using both at the same time because both platforms exist. Some of you might just be using Next Gen, and some of you might be completely new to Lead Capture, have no idea what it is. So I'm going to try to cater this presentation based on these 3 different groups of people. So Lead Capture Next Gen is our previous platform. We ended up building Next Gen. And the question is, why did we do that? Why did we create a whole new platform? That has come up quite a bit. And the response is very complex, but I think at the end of the day, for me as the founder, it was why not? We have had so much amazing feedback, and there's been so many things that we wanted to build that it got to the point where instead of like doing these small tweaks here and there and waiting like 1 to 2 years to get to this point that we've landed at here now with Next Gen, it made sense just to kind of rebuild from the ground up and create this new Next Gen platform. And it has really allowed us to kind of like rethink some things and think about what does the ideal version of the platform look like? And that ultimately turned into Next Gen. The last 50 days of building it was insane. I've got some crazy war stories behind that I could share in another time. But we basically got to work. I started plotting in right around like December of 2025, didn't say too much. Then looked at the team and said it's time to get to work. And that's what we did. And now Next Gen is here. So this leads me into the actual platform. And this is where I'm going to just start going through those 3 different phases here. So building, some things to pay attention to on that side, as well as improving lead quality, measuring and testing, and all that great stuff. So let's dive into this. I'm not in the right account here. So I'm in a demo account, so don't expose PII for people here. So all this data is fake, but this should give you a pretty good idea of how this looks and how this works. So when you come into Lead Capture, we drop you on this dashboard here. Now, the idea is you will be able to see all of your lead funnels in one view. And I have personally liked there's like little spike charts that you see from like stock trading and crypto platforms. So we incorporated that in from like a design perspective. So you can get a little bit of a snapshot, but you can drill in to each funnel. We'll talk about that later, but you get this nice high level view. Then to the left, you have your lead funnels, you have your leads, A/B testing, insights, which is a scorecard. I'll talk about that a bit later. You can connect domains, invite sub users, all that type of stuff is just basic stuff. What I really want to highlight here is creating the funnel from start to finish with like not much of an idea aside from a prompt. So to do that, you would go into new funnel, and we have some templates. We're going to have some more templates coming out soon. Some of my team are working on that, but the core feature to highlight here is AI Copilot. And I want to talk a little bit about structuring the prompt because that's probably the most important thing, I think, when it comes to getting a funnel built that you're happy with, at least from the start. So let's dive into that. And I seem to have lost my template. Got it. Okay. So when it comes to using Copilot to create the funnel, one of the things, just to back up, that we really want to focus on is speed from getting started to launching that first funnel. In the classic platform, we noticed it took quite a while because there's UX problems there. And we ended up building next gen, and we really focused on like UI, improving the builder, but we still felt like it would be faster to build out these funnels with a co-pilot type feature that could be kind of like your sidekick that could do all of the work for you up front. And that's why this feature kind of came to life. And you have two choices here. You can either build just like a quiz that you could take and host on another platform, whether that's WordPress, Framer, Unbounce, the list goes on, or you can build the landing page and quiz together. And this is typically what most people use. I don't know why we default to quiz. I think we have to change that. So what I would recommend doing is if you plan to host the entire funnel, including like the landing page inside of Lead Capture, just click here. This takes you to page layout. Now with page layout, you can have your page structured where it's either just a single column, you can have the quiz to the right or quiz to the left. My recommendation, based on what we see work the best, is to just go with single column. It's simple. Plus, consider a lot of traffic is coming in through mobile. It's going to collapse down to a one column layout to begin with. So I think single column makes the most sense. You could start from a template. We have to update these. But this is the key part when it comes to creating the funnel. And my recommendation here, based on the way we've built this and what I see working the best, is to, I believe I have some tips here. It's to follow these rules when creating the prompt. Be very specific. The more specific you can be about what type of funnel you're creating, the questions you have, the better the funnel will be. Give context. Context is really the thing that matters most. And I think being specific ties to that as well. Provide as much context as possible. But the caveat there is don't provide too much context, because if you provide way too much context, Copilot can get a little bit confused. There's like a context window that we have to watch for. And then the second thing too is don't try to get it perfect right from the start. There's some people who think they can come in and like one shot a full blown funnel that's like perfect, and that can happen. But I think the goal to aim for is to get like 70% there, get your core questions in there that you want in your lead flow, and then go in and tweak it using the dashboard builder or Copilot, which I'll walk through in a minute, can help there as well, like once you get into the builder. So these are the tips to follow. When I share this out, you could actually come in here. I have a prompt template. You could copy that, and then you can come back in here and you could paste that in and then just like fill in the blanks. Now I have my own prompt that I'm going to paste in. So I'll paste this in. And to give you a sense of the way that it's set up here, I'm just saying like create a sleek modern funnel for a brand called Tap My Mortgage. I always like to include the brand in there. And then I also like to talk about the goal. Like, what is the goal of the funnel? What kind of leads are we generating? I like to touch on the color scheme. So in this case, strong green color palette. I could probably be more specific here as far as the exact color to use, and even like how I want the colors used, but I did not do that in this template. And then the key thing here is the quiz flow and the questions that I want, the key qualifying questions. So I usually try to get most of those questions in. I don't focus too much on the responses, although that is possible to get it to include the right responses as well. It would just add a lot more context to the prompt. And then from there, it looks pretty much good to go. So I would select an industry and then click Build with AI. Now, what's happening behind the scenes is it's going out and it's basically creating this entire funnel based on schema that we have all set up. So you're never going to get some sort of spaghetti string looking thing that doesn't even match like a funnel. It's always going to be within the structure of lead capture and how we define it in our schema. And then there's like some creativity things that are happening behind the scenes to actually figure out like what makes the most sense, what fields to use, what copy to write, all of that type of stuff. It says it takes like 15 to 30 seconds, but I'm finding it takes about 1 to 2 minutes. You can close out. It'll continue running in the background. I actually have one set up, so we'll just dive into this instead of sitting here and awkwardly waiting. I believe this is the one I set up this morning. So this is basically the same exact prompt. I haven't adjusted this. Before we dive into the builder and I share some tips, I want to just share like what it produced for me. So if I open up the page, you'll see that we have a full page and it created this headline. See if you qualify for a lower mortgage payment, not too bad of a headline, I think. I mean, I'm not a copywriter, so it's better than what I would probably come with if I were to set this up myself. There's the quiz and created all of the questions for me, which I think is pretty cool. We just released a new feature called toggle, so you can now have toggles as well. And then it added in all of this content. Now, there's things about the content that could be better, like the margin padding, but all that can be adjusted. You can drop in graphics. It can't generate that type of stuff yet, maybe at some point in the future. But the key thing here is that this got us from no funnel to funnel within like a minute or two. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's what we were going for with this first version of the Copilot feature. So now that we have the funnel created, here's the questions. I want to just give like a quick tour of the platform and of the builder specifically, I mean, and just note some things to pay attention to as you're building these and as you're getting set up if you're working inside of lead capture. So the first thing to note to start with, and I think this is a really key thing to note because we don't make this clear and we have to find a way to make it clear, but it's that the way this works is we think about the funnel inside of lead capture as a unified funnel. And what I mean by that is you have both the quiz and the landing page combined, and all of this is kind of structured on the same page. If you want it to just take this quiz and put this quiz into another landing page platform, you would only be taking this part and embedding it in. Whereas this stuff above and below is all the landing page. So some people get confused and they think that they can update this part and this will be part of the landing page if they embed it in like a WordPress, but it's really just the stuff you see here is the quiz. And you can see that it's currently labeled form. So that's just like a key thing to note. And then if we look to the left-hand side over here, you'll see that there's two separate sections. So you have the page, and the page has all the different components that you can drag on. So you can add headlines, just drag them in, text blocks, images, videos, and then a testimonial, some dynamic stuff. And then you can adjust some things with page color. So this whole section here, these are all components that apply to the landing page. But then for the form itself or the quiz, you can click in here, and that's how we kind of make that distinction between the two. And then within the quiz, there's all of these different components and global styling settings that are nested in the design section. So I'm not going to go through each one because there's so many, but we have things from layout to font type to option button, toggle, submit button, a lot of things you can adjust at the global design for the form. So you have this side here where you do most of your updates. This is where you would go in and like adjust settings for specific steps. And you can click into specific steps by actually clicking on the form. Now, when you go to add a form field, one of the things that we really tried to focus on is rethinking our entire form field data model. And when you click add form field, we now have many more form fields than we had before. And some of the fields like state, if you were to drag state in, they're pre-filled with all the states. Previously, you had to type each state in, which was a huge pain. So that's one of the things that we tried to improve upon, just how fields work. And when it comes to fields, you'll see with each field, there's this section called type settings. And if you click into type settings, this is where you can set kind of like advanced settings for each field. And every field would probably have different type settings. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking for something with a field, like to update a specific setting, go to type settings. For example, with state, if you go to type settings, you'll see you can choose your display format, your country, and all that type of stuff here. So that's the field section. And again, most of the updating of the landing page and the forms all happens here. To the right-hand side, here's where the steps live. So as you're toggling between your different steps and making adjustments, you can just click into each one. And one of the biggest improvements I think we made is how the logic works when one step goes to the next. So by default, it's always going to go to the next step in the list. You do not have to go in and adjust logic and targeting. It will just default to what shows up next. So in this case, home address goes to goals, goals to homeowner, so on and so forth. But you can override this with the flow logic section. So if you click in here, we have this flow logic section where you can create some pretty advanced logic now. I'll touch on this in a moment. Just want to highlight the step section here to start. And then as we just kind of look at the rest of this, just clicking into it, it's just a matter of changing things. You can upload graphics. We cache things with Cloudflare CDN, so it all loads extremely fast. We have focused a ton on page speed. And then that's pretty much like the tour of the builder at this point. But what I want to show now is how to come in and make updates with Copilot. So there's like Copilot for building the quiz and the funnel. But then we realized there's a huge opportunity to pull Copilot through into the builder. So you can come in and with just some simple prompts, have Copilot do a lot of the work for you. And the way this works is it's almost like a Lovable, except it has way more context around lead gen and your funnel. And it's all mapped to every single part of the funnel, or that's what we're trying to get to the point of doing. There's some situations where the schema may not be mapped properly yet, but I think we have most of this all kind of hooked up. So you can come in and like a real basic use case is, let's say that you want to change the copy here of the button. Like, what are you looking to do? One of the biggest things that I have found just in a lot of like one-on-one calls with people is we're like inside of the funnel, we're trying to get it set up, but then we like blank on copy and we're jumping back and forth between ChatGPT and the funnel. And then that's where kind of training the Copilot to write copy works great. So you can either just like click here and then have it generate ideas for you and drop an idea in, or you can tell Copilot, you can just talk with it and say something like improve the headline of the goals step. I probably should have thought through what I want to say here. I don't know, to be conversion optimized or something. I don't know. And we'll see what it comes back with. And if it needs context, it's going to prompt us for more context. But it's saying, what's your number one mortgage goal right now? It's better, I think. And this is where you can continue to go back and forth and improve things. So that's on the copywriting side. It's probably like one of the more basic use cases. But getting more advanced, Copilot can do more than just like update copy and write copy for you. My favorite use case for it is to actually have it create steps and sometimes even to find the logic. So for example, let's say that you want to disqualify people with a low credit score of like poor. So in this case, I could say create a DQ step. First, I'm just going to tell it to create a DQ step. I could just one-shot it, but I just want to show the best way to approach it is to kind of break your conversation up one step at a time here. So I'm going to say create a DQ step at the end of the funnel for unqualified leads. And then it should create a DQ step for us. And there it is. So it just dropped the DQ step in. Now, once you know how to use the platform, it's pretty simple to create the DQ step manually, but it does save time. So I kind of like that aspect of it. And I like too how it wrote the copy, because on DQ steps, I always like kind of struggle on what exactly to say. Like I'll just say like, you're not qualified, and that doesn't sound so friendly. So it wrote that for us. Now, what we probably want to do is have it map a specific response to DQ. So I could then come in and I could go to credit score and say, route anyone on credit score step who selects poor to the disqualified step. And then it should do this. Sometimes it's hit or miss. It seems like it's getting better as we continue to improve all of the schema mapping. You'll see here it's saying that it set the routing logic, and you'll see this little route appeared. So it seems to be working, and there's two ways to confirm that. You can click into your options buttons that opens up that left-hand side panel that I was showing at the beginning of the video. And then if you go down, you'll see all the options, and you'll see that it is showing poor is routing to disqualified. So it did that, and then if we go into the flow logic section, here's credit score, poor is routing to disqualified. So this is just like one example of, or like one or two examples of how to use Copilot to speed up the workflow of getting started. You could just go in and manually update things, and sometimes that's faster just to come in and like type things out. But Copilot can help save time, and that's kind of what we're going for here. And I think that's a big part of the future. So that's the Copilot side. And then I touched on some of the key things here. One thing I would recommend on the landing page side that we're seeing convert extremely well, before I jump into some more of these sections here, is to set up a landing page like this where you drop a video in. So you maybe have like a headline, a video, and it's like UGC style and quiz right below it. And someone saying like, take the quiz here. We've seen some people run that and it seems to convert extremely well, especially in like debt relief. So just a quick tip there. And like the whole idea is to get to the point where you have these really fast, streamlined, mobile first pages. This is what seems to be converting the best right now. And that's what we tried to build for. In the future, I think we're going to really be building out capabilities as far as like all the design stuff you can add in. We're going to have way more components. But for the starting point, we wanted to get to the point where people could spin up these real fast loading pages and have just the stuff that they need to be able to launch high converting funnels. There's like a whole plan for like nested pages inside of all of this. It's a conversation for another time. Now, going across the funnel, or the nav, I should say, from left to right, we just discussed the funnel. Currently, it's a unified funnel. If it becomes kind of confusing for people, we may end up seeing something where it's like quiz and landing page, but for now, it's just a single funnel. Then we have flow logic section. I won't spend too much time here, but what I do want to highlight here is that if you're looking to create more advanced logic, you can do things here where, let's say, age. Actually, let's take a more advanced situation, mortgage balance. So if we just click into mortgage balance, this is a range slider. So one of the questions that might come up, or that we see, or one of the use cases, I should say, that comes up quite a bit is a question around like, can I conditionally route someone based on the text that they input into a field based on a range slider? And now that's possible with NextGen. So you could just have Copilot do the setup for you. But sometimes I like to come in here and play with the logic. And what you would do is click add rule. And for the rule, you could say if mortgage balance, we just launched a bunch of new features last week, is less than or equal to, and let's just say you want like 1,000, then route to maybe disqualified or something like that. Get a bit more complex, and you can even add in more advanced conditions and reference previous steps. And then there's cases where you would want to do this, where if you kind of have like a calculation, this is pretty common in the mortgage space. We're seeing where I'm not even going to try to explain it, but there's different steps that all kind of relate to each other to get to the next step. And then, so that's the flow section here, and pretty straightforward. You just basically set all of your logic. The settings section, there's a few things that I wanted to note here. I'm going to come back to some things when I jump into the lead quality section. But some of the common questions we get are how to set up Trusted Form. What about Jurnaya? They were actually just bought out by the company that owns Trusted Form. Well, we've made it as simple as flipping a switch. You just flip a switch. It's now all set up. You don't have to go and mess with code or do much there on that side. The only thing you may have to do, and this depends on your backend routing and lead distribution side, is actually like adjust the field mappings. I'll talk about that in lead delivery. But all you have to do is map those two things there. On the compliance side, I also want to touch on how to add in like TCPA compliance text, because this is something that comes up and I think it would be beneficial to show real quick. So in most cases, you probably want it near the phone number. And compliance isn't a field. Some people come in, they go to add field, they try to add a radio button or checkbox, but you're better off coming into contact and going in here to this left side where you see content and then going all the way down to consent. So every single step has a consent block section built in. And then we have these pre-built consent templates. So you can drop in TCPA consent template. It puts it right in here. And then you can update it. You can add some links in. And then when the form is submitted, this is really key. When the form is submitted, the consent text is automatically going to be captured, stored with the lead record, and then you can map it to your CRM and lead distribution tool. So it's automatically passed. You do not need to go in and set hidden field where you're like putting the whole consent text in. In the past, you had to do that. That should not be something you have to do nowadays. So that's how you add in a consent text. To go back here, you have your deny it and trusted form ID. I'll dive into verification and enrichment in a minute here. And then just a note here, there's like partial lead capture, where we establish a server-side heartbeat and kind of track the progress of the person as they go through, and then we'll push the lead if they're partial. And then tracking, this is another thing I want to touch on real quick because this comes up quite a bit. So we have Cappy, next week we'll have Tag Manager, but one of the questions is often, how do I set up my Facebook pixel and track conversions and fire them into Meta? Like, what's the best way to do that inside of lead capture? So aside from using Cappy, one of the things that we recommend doing is flipping this switch on, dropping in your pixel ID. That's step one. Step two is once you do that, go into contact info, or basically where you're going to fire the conversion event. And then again, go to the left-hand side to content, and then go on over to, you have to look for a setting called meta pixel event and choose the lead event. And then when somebody submits that step, it will fire the conversion event into Meta. And we even have the logic set where if like someone goes crazy clicking, it's not going to continue to fire those clicks in. There has to be an actual submission. So that's how you do that. And then you can, of course, add in Cappy. We're going to have some content on how to set all of that up soon, probably as soon as we release our tag manager integration. And then one more quick thing before I go into lead delivery. If you want to create like your own custom thank you page or just like a click-through style page, you could clone this page and just hide the quiz. And that's currently the workaround now to, I'll show you real quick, to get a page created without a quiz in it. And that's how you could create even like a custom thank you page to redirect people to. That's where you can start to do some pretty cool things on the thank you page side with like videos and stuff once they submit. And then again, at some point, we're going to have a whole sort of like page, like a nested page suite that you can use. Now to touch on lead delivery. So on the lead delivery side, we've tried our best to make this as simple as possible, but it gets pretty complex with all the CRMs and integrations. We have Lead Prosper. We are going to be building out our Juiced integration. I know that Kyle and that team are members of Leadbase. They're also lead capture users. We have Leadbite and Go High Level. Go High Level, they made us call it Lead Connector, which was really frustrating. They kept rejecting the app. But for the webhook, and the integrations kind of work the same way. When you're going to set them up, you can find all of your field mappings nested within the webhook and integration. So that kind of streamlines things a bit. By default, it's always going to take these placeholders that you see here, but you can override them by just typing something in. And that is how you update the webhook. It has all of the system fields. Then it will dynamically update based on the fields that you input into the different parts of your quiz. And then when it comes to publishing, there's two options here. You can either hook up your own custom domain, and you can use a subdomain or a root level domain. It doesn't look like I have one set up for the demo account. And we also do generate like a live domain, but it wouldn't make much sense to drive traffic to this since it's on lead capture. Or you can just take this code, copy it, and embed it into another page. So we made it flexible enough for both of those options to exist. So I think I covered what I want to cover mostly on the builder side. It can get a bit more like complex and advanced based on things you're looking to do in various use cases. So if you have questions, we can discuss them at the end. I'm going to try to move through this a little bit faster to save some time. And then you can reach out to me and I could shoot a Loom video back. But to dive into the next phase of this here, this should be pretty quick. It is the lead verification and enrichment. So one of the big things aside from Copilot that we've been trying to focus on, and we will continue to focus on, is what I call the verification and enrichment layer to lead capture. So what we're currently focused on is verification and enrichment at the point of capture. And eventually we'll be doing more as far as like post submission with Copilot going out and being able to enrich leads, kind of like how Clay works, but more built towards lead gen forms and funnels. Currently, if you come into the credits section here, you can kind of see a menu of what we have in terms of the verification and enrichment options. So there's the OTP two-factor phone verification. That's been working amazing for people. We've generated millions of these at this point and has been pretty great in terms of making sure people are getting phone verified leads. We also have phone validation and enrichment. This is what I'm going to focus on for this part of the session. And then there's property enrichment, where you can pull in home address information, really great for like mortgage, refi, some home services. We can do some skip tracing, and then dynamic property photos where you can pull in a street view of someone's home, really great for real estate. And then we're going to have full contact enrichment soon. That's on our roadmap. That should come out in probably Q2. So with that said, let me just show you the phone verification and enrichment section. When the lead comes in, you're going to see this contact score. Contact score is part of phone verification and enrichment. If we drill into a lead here, this is the contact score section. You'll see it's on a scale of 0 to 100. We are not making this up. This comes from a third party called Trussell, and they are giving us this information. And then we're just filling the rest of the stuff in and helping to provide some insights into whether the line is prepaid or not, if it's TCPA, litigator risk, so on and so forth. I think there's so many different ways to use this information, from outright blocking the lead right at the form submission point, or just enriching the lead, and it becomes a huge value prop. I think if you're selling leads, it could become part of your pitch. There's a lot of different ways to, I think, use this and spin it to your advantage. To set this up, I just want to show this real quick. You go into the funnel settings, and all the enrichment features are dropped within the settings section here. So for phone validation and enrichment, you simply just flip this switch. Then you have two choices. You can choose to just enrich the lead and capture that information, or you can capture that information and validate the lead and block them. And you can block on a number of things, whether or not the number is valid, whether or not they have a low contact score, meaning the phone, if it's low, phone might be disconnected. You can block TCPA, prepaid numbers, or you can block TCPA litigator risk flagged fields, which I think is pretty cool to be able to do. And then prepaid numbers you can block as well. And then you can block them at the point of capture. So there's a couple of different ways to use that. We try to think beyond just enrichment. We try to think, how can you get some control to also be able to block the lead to improve lead quality. Now, that pretty much wraps up the verification and enrichment side of things. To dive into the last section here before we get to questions, there's analyzing and A/B testing. So there's, I guess, like three ways or three things to cover inside of lead capture for this. First is just how we think about the metrics and data. I had mentioned when you come in, you see all of your metrics high level, and you can filter by timeline and all that. And then the idea here is you can just kind of like scan down and see performance at a glance with these spike charts. So the way that I think makes the most sense to use this is start high level, drill in. Then when you drill in, you have your funnel step metrics. We're tracking a bunch of different metrics here, from total views to unique conversion rate, average completion time, and then you would see the leads here as well. So you have all the step metrics, and you can come in and look at all the data to try to come to your own conclusions about what's working, what's not. But another thing we did, this is like the third thing we've done with Copilot to really bring value to it and make sure it's effective, is we've trained Copilot to be able to use the context and data from your own account to help inform you and surface up insights about performance. So you could click into a specific funnel and prompt it to help identify some places to focus on, or you can just like do it at this side, like at a high level, at the dashboard level. So you could say something like, what funnel has the best conversion rates? Where should I optimize? And then it's going to comb through all of the data, and then it's going to come back with a list of results. and provide some insights. The whole idea behind this was I don't know if you can see it. I bought a Whoop back in like December, and it's been really great at telling me that I need to sleep more. So it's just kind of stressed me out. But one of my favorite things about the Whoop is that it has something like this. So I was thinking it'd be really cool if we did something where it's like lead funnels plus Lovable plus Whoop all kind of together, and that's where this idea for Copilot came from. And then you'll see here that it's combing through, it's giving some insights, and it has some conversion rates for so it's showing how the funnels rank, and then it's highlighting some priorities. And this is something we're gonna continue to train and make better. And another thing that we've done with it is we've trained it on best practices. We're continuing to do that. We're feeding it as much context as possible so it can get smarter and smarter. And I think at the end of the day, this is one of the key things that separates something like this from a generic tool like a Lovable, where Lovable is amazing for going out and creating like a nice looking funnel, but it doesn't have the same type of context. So we're just trying to focus on specialized context. And I think that's the future. So that is the Copilot side for that. But then we also have proactive insights. So like you can come in here and you can prompt it and talk it and talk to it and find these opportunities. But we've also been thinking, how do we do this in a way where it's sending information to you? That's where this idea of the scorecard comes into play, if I can find it. So the scorecard is a weekly report that gets sent each Monday. This is kind of a new feature. We had sort of like a feature like this, but I didn't like it, so we rebuilt it. And now you will get these insights delivered where it's going to show you just like last week's metrics, total funnels, top 3. You can drill in from there, and then some recommendations that are coming from Copilot. Our goal is to deliver 3 key recommendations each week, giving you something that you can go in and test to increase conversion rates. So that's the general idea behind that, and then a summary. I'm sure this is something that is going to evolve quite a bit, especially as we get feedback and make it better. But this is the start for us thinking like, how do we bring things full funnel or full circle? I keep thinking of funnels where it's like you're building, you're improving your lead quality, and then you're getting the data, and then you're testing. That leads us to testing, the last thing to cover. So the A/B testing feature launched last week. It was a huge lift to get this done. I did not realize how complicated relaunching this would be, especially when dealing with like complete landing pages. And the way this works here is you can either start a test from the A/B testing section, or you can go into a specific funnel. Let's say I want to test this one. Click A/B test, and you have 2 choices. Either you can go through the process manually, or you can have Copilot generate some test ideas for you. So when you think about where testing kind of is hard, it's determining what to test and then when to stop the test. And that's where we've pointed Copilot at so far. So now it's going through and it's reviewing conversion data, looking at the structure, and it's going to provide a bunch of ideas right here on the testing page. So it provided the ideas, it attempted to force rank them by high, medium, low. In terms of leverage, I don't even see a low here, so I'm not sure what happened there. But then you can look through and say, okay, do I want to test one of these? Maybe I like this, this, this. Maybe I don't like this. You just hit the X, so you can just remove it. And this kind of sets you up with a little bit of a testing roadmap, which will eventually lead to a test plan feature. But you get these ideas, and then the ideas you can test one thing now and then test another thing later and just keep testing and get into a habit of continuous testing. So maybe you choose those. You can even add your own test here. You can generate more. And then you have your test ideas. You can choose whether or not you want it to be 50-50, 60-40, and so on. And then you would basically just start the test. So the test is started at this point. If we just back up, you'll see the test is running as a 50-50 test. In most cases, I would have gone in and actually updated the variant, but I did not do that. Just for timing here, you can drill into the control and the variant and see the different stats for each. It's collecting data. And imagine you have some leads now that are coming through in views. Another thing you can use Copilot for is you can click here, and now it's going to analyze the test and provide some insights here. And it'll be interesting to see what it comes back with, considering this test has not started yet. So this is the ultimate test. And it's very long-winded, but it came back and basically said that the test has no data. So I'm happy it got that right. And then it's just giving some recommendations for what to do, drive traffic first, and then know your sample size, all that type of stuff. So it's basically going to help you determine when to continue testing or end your tests. So that wraps up the A/B testing side of things. And again, what we really tried to focus on was how do we build this feature in a way where Copilot can come in and assist with the workflow, but also set you up with ideas so you can continue testing, because that's where the magic really happens when it comes to testing and CRO. Finally, I'm pretty much done going through most of this. There is, I think, like a couple notes on the help section if you need help, because this is kind of buried now. Well, the idea is that Copilot should have context and it can potentially help. But if you need any help as you go, you can reach out for support, click there. Sometimes I'm on live chat, usually not though. And then you can also go into a help center. We have a tutorial, release notes. As we are updating things, we're documenting them here. So you can always come in, and I just try to provide some context at the end of each update around why we push those updates, some thoughts, and that pretty much wraps up this presentation. So now we can go to questions.
We'll definitely share ours. I got a question for you. You had mentioned, let me take a look at my notes here. There's a way that you can use the enrichment features to improve your lead quality. What do you do for that? Like, so like that's a problem we've been like noticing over the last like 2, 3 months is our lead quality has just been getting like terrible. Like our conversions are like down 50% from the end of January when we were at the highest to now like 50% lower. I don't know. Like I've heard everyone else has been having issues with Meta and stuff like that, like we have
Yeah.
been. So I'm just wondering if there's like anything that we can do or use in that feature to try to help, get some better qualified leads.
Do you know, like, when you say, like, lead quality is down, is it a specific part of it? Like, phone numbers are bad, like, people aren't picking up the phone? What's the
It's a combination of, like, people aren't picking up, and then the people that are just, like, complete scumbags. Like, I don't know if that's, like, you know what I mean? Like, just complete, like assholes, for lack of a better term, is
Yeah.
what we're getting. Well, the feedback we're getting, like, you know what I mean? That's you're gonna have that regardless, it's lead gen, right? But they're just like, "Man, like, it's never been like this." It's like everyone I talk to is a shitbag. So that's what I've been hearing a lot of lately.
Do they explain, like, why they're a shitbag? Like, are they like, "I didn't complete this form, like, don't call me again?" Is it something like that? Or
That
are they
kind of
just
stuff,
concerned?
yeah, like, a lot of what's this about, like, and I don't understand how that's could be possible because our creatives pretty much tell you exactly what it's about. Same
Yeah.
with the ad copy and everything. You know what I mean? Like we do like free offers, so it's like free health discount cards, free will kits, free whatever. So like I don't know how you screw that up. You know what I mean? Like I don't remember doing that. Like
Yeah, yeah. I would consider using something like the phone enrichment field, because there you get some data on the lead, and there's a chance that these people that are kind of like scumbags, first of all, maybe they didn't complete the form. We see that with people doing like TCPA poaching type things. If it's happening at scale, it's probably not it. But you
Mhm.
could at least get some data around the phone number and just see, like, is it a prepaid number? Maybe they're just doing something weird, stuff like that. OTP is pretty effective.
We've been
If
using that. Can you pull up our funnel and just show him that section and see if like what we have on right now? Because I'm pretty sure we're doing the phone enrichment
Yeah,
already.
yeah. May I share my screen,
I
please?
just wanna know how we would use that information, like, I guess, to better serve the client and let them know, like, "Hey, if you see this, this is, like, a hot one," or whatever, you know what I mean? "This is a good one."
Yeah, so we're running like 9 funnels at the moment. We're getting pretty good conversions, like 46%, 38, 46, 50, 55, 72. And then, for example, within this funnel, we have our trusted forms activated. We should turn this on. So yeah, which one should we do? Enrichment only or validation with rules?
I would start with enrichment and just collect data, probably, unless you want to block out anyone who's, like, submitting with a prepaid number, or, even block out, like, bad phone numbers, like fake phone numbers and stuff like that. OTP would kind of catch that, but you could even catch those before they submit, the OTP step.
Okay, cool. And then
I think it's something you just have to test too.
yeah, I think we have pretty much everything else like set up on the back end.
Do
So
you have like a common pattern that you're seeing too with these people with like the path they're going down and the questions? Because that's something too where maybe you should just route them out and not feed that data back into Facebook. Something that we see a lot of, and I'm sure Ryan could speak to this better than me, is that training Facebook on unqualified people could sometimes be part of the issue.
So you're saying maybe throw in unqualified leads in there too?
Yeah. So when it comes to like routing people,
Hmm.
you could route your unqualified leads to a disqualified step and not fire your Facebook conversion event and stuff like that.
Okay, I think we already do that.
Okay.
You guys were saying that you were firing back booked appointments and sales. How long have you been doing that?
Forever.
Okay.
How long do you think it's been? Like a year and a half at least? We can't hear you, Arden.
Can you go back to that funnel quick? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear it for some reason.
So we just started adding these questions in because like, like we were doing mostly lead forms. So because we were getting like the leads pretty cheap and they're converting. But obviously I know that was probably part of the quality issue. So we moved over to like a two-step. And I guess one of the meetings that we had with you guys, you said use the Facebook form and then qualify them again with like an offsite. So that's kind of what this combination is right here. Like we get
Yeah.
Facebook, we can give the lead to the client so they have the actual information. If they don't fill this crap out, they get that lead anyways. But if they do fill this out, they get the better lead. So either way, like it's still like they pay for the lead, but this is the obviously better quality lead.
And
Yeah.
can you hear me now? Is my
Yeah.
mic finally working? So what I was going to mention about the pixel is that we also do capture people who fill out the forms and get distributed to agents. So I think that's where we're giving bad information, and we need to qualify more of those ones that go through.
Yeah. So like our thing is if a lead is able to be qualified enough to be sent to an agent, we're throwing that back into the pixel. So I think maybe we're thinking maybe that's the problem is we're just feeding it back like a bunch of leads. We don't really know if it's quality lead or not. It's just, if the phone number is good and, all the crap matches, it's fun. Like it's good to sell, but it's not like a quality lead. So I'm thinking maybe that might be the problem.
What's the ad look like? What's the full funnel look like here? Like, what's the ad say?
Let me pull up that.
Yeah, I already want to pull that up.
Which
So
one are you looking at right now?
I think that was a
first
union.
responders,
First
But for which funnel? We have 3 different ones.
Conrad.
Conrad's. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
basically Facebook lead form, and then the last like the website on the lead form is this website.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wonder if you fed so much data of just people who want free stuff that it's just giving you more people who want free stuff, or like, like, because sorry, what does the ad say specifically? Does it say like get these new first responder benefits or
I'm
something
pulling
like
it up now. It says, "You protect our communities every day. Now it's time to take care of you and your family. Get up to 85% off dental, vision, prescriptions, pet medication, and more. Affordable healthcare savings made specifically for first responders."
that? Okay, and then they get the free guide, and then eventually, what's being sold to them eventually?
insurance.
Insurance.
So is it just like is it like Medicare or something like that? You said I know you've talked about,
Yeah, it's life
it's,
insurance.
and it gets them 85% off stuff.
Like the actual benefits are real. So like our
Yeah.
company, they don't like advertise on TV or nothing. So like basically what they do is they give us these no cost benefits to sell, and that's what we advertise. So it's like a free will kit, a free health discount card, and it's actually like real shit that saves people money. It's not like fake
Yeah.
stuff. A free life insurance policy, a free child safe kit, like helps like find kids faster if they ever lost. Like there's some good value there. That's why people, obviously the conversions are great. We get a shit ton of leads. It's just the quality of the people are just getting worse and worse. You know what I mean? Like you just said, I think that's what it is. Is like it's just finding the dirtiest of the dirt of people that just want free shit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, so most of our ads kind of like look similar to like this type of format.
And then you're pushing them. Sorry, no, it's becoming more of a holistic look at a whole funnel, which maybe is good for this call. If anyone has any more questions, please put in the chat just so we can, because we have
Yeah.
5 minutes left of John's time. So if you have any other specific questions that we can get to, please put them in the chat. Maybe it's something we could also tackle offline. I do think, like, I wonder, they're coming through this, they think there's no cost. That's already kind of like going to put them in a position where you might, people who want free stuff, obviously, which is
Right.
could be fine. But then when they go through the funnel and they fill it out, what does it say? Like, what's the next step after they fill out what's the thank you page? Like, what's like,
Yeah,
how are they being
it's the
positioned?
book an appointment. Blah, you got the end of the funnel.
Oh yeah. So
The thank you.
Yeah, sure.
yeah, these are the steps. So they verify their thing, process.
Yeah,
claim
the
your
crazy
discount,
part
and
is
over here we have our calendar.
we OTP'd on Facebook and we OTP'd on here. So
Yeah.
it's like a double phone verification.
Yeah. Go to the thank you page.
Yeah, go to the thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I would. So this is for the appointment.
Yeah, they fill
I
this
would
out and
enhance this thank you page quite a bit.
Yeah. Improve this thank you.
Yeah. Because your discounts are ready. It's like, I don't know. I would have some, like, I think you maybe need to like put a human and element to this funnel a little bit, potentially. Like,
So
you know,
a thank you video or something.
it's like, hey, I know you know, like, even like addressing some of the things like, you know, yeah, it sounds too good to be true, but here's what you get with these benefit packages, or here's what it looks like. Like, maybe just like, because it seems a little bit just like,
Scammy.
it could seem scammy, yeah. And I think
Yeah.
if you had like a human that's like, hey, here's how this actually work. I get it. It sounds too good to be true. But when you there's these insurance packages for first responders that helps you get XYZ. And when you speak to an agent, we can help you get those faster. We can help you get the plan that's right for you. Something like that maybe could be helpful. Let's talk a bit more about this offline, guys. Maybe if you want to,
Yeah.
if you want to share the funnel with me, I'll take another look at it because Ollie has a question here.
Yeah, we don't take time. Thank you.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
I mean, I think everyone can learn from that too. So it's good. But yeah, thanks, guys. Ollie, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to share my funnel or the form in the connect
Yeah, go for it.
in the thing and see. I'm waiting approval.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is my first funnel ever for the debt relief leads. So what should I really enable and what should I not? Like, should I do like text verification, like OTP verification at the beginning to get very good leads? Or what exactly should I do? If that makes sense.
I think it depends on your goals. I would definitely be doing phone validation and blocking some leads, like the invalid number one. You have that flipped on. Keep that like that. Allowed line types. I think that setup makes sense. Maybe even just allow the whole set through and just see what data you get. Collect data first, then make decisions and work backwards.
Okay.
And then blocking TCPA risk, I would do that. And then OTP, I think that's more of a business decision. I would probably just collect data, review the data, and then test OTP to see what that does to your CPA and see your cost per lead, essentially.
Sorry, one more time. So you wouldn't enable this for the debt leads?
It depends. So when you are selling these leads, are you selling them as like phone verified, or what's your?
I'm not.
I might just do
Sure.
this. Collect data.
Collect data. Okay. Yeah, I want to sell essentially as good as leads as possible? Like, is it an insane difference between doing phone verification and not with the leads?
We've seen it make a difference in debt using the OTP, but the phone enrichment and verification setup above might
Mhm.
make a big enough difference without some friction in the flow with, like, the two-factor or the two-factor.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. And
Test it too, though, like, you can spin
yeah,
up a split test, and you can test
Yeah. Can I jump in on this? This is good. This whole, like, the phone, go back up to the phone type verification or whatever, allowed line types, like, this is actually a huge thing, like, the fact that, like, Lead Capture makes this available is super helpful in my opinion, so you can, um I mean, in terms of, like, before it would either be OTP or not, but now we have the ability to kinda, like, validate the numbers, which is sweet, so I would definitely do a split test of, like, leaving it wide open at first to get like a base, but then you can start to slowly turn off like potentially like the voice over IPs, like a toll free, maybe unknown. Like I think just like split testing one thing at a time, like John said, is a good way to do this. I mean, ideally, eventually you would. What do you think, John? Would you only allow like mobile? I mean, with LAN,
Probably. We see a ton of spam in debt relief too, so, like, definitely blocking some of the ones that you mentioned.
yeah.
Prepaid too, maybe? I don't know. It's, like, risky with some of these because I could see people buying prepaid numbers and just using them. They could be good
if
leads, so,
if they're in debt, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the way I would probably think about it is like I would only allow mobile and landline if I wasn't using OTP. But if I'm using
Mhm.
OTP, I'd be more open to having some other ones on,
Mhm.
such as prepaid. Um, yeah, I think it's like John. Sorry to steer the conversation, maybe, but just split testing that. You can start by having phone verification off, allowing everything through. If you get leads, then you can kind of say, okay, well, what kind of phone numbers are coming through? Are they all voice over IPs? Okay, well, what's going on here? So
Okay. Okay, got it. So just test at the beginning. And like email verification, this like good to enable or is it just unnecessary?
Yeah, yeah, and I would keep it like that
Uh-huh,
exact
uh-huh,
setup
uh-huh.
is pretty good because sometimes there's false positives, so
Yeah.
you want to have unknown checked.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Is there anything else, Lee, you would like suggest doing the funnel? Like to enable or not to enable? Like something
I
crucial?
responded back to you this morning about the metapixel, so
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
definitely take a look at that video and make sure
yeah.
branding's not showing up for you because it's weird if it shows lead capture at the bottom of the funnel. I don't think it is, but you
It
can
is.
set okay, then make sure you take the branding out. That should
Uh,
be account level integrations maybe, or no, yeah, account and then flip off powered by, show powered by.
okay.
And then I think that actually should have updated. So nothing to save there, I think. Yep,
Yeah,
perfect.
let's go. Perfect. I think that's everything. Honestly,
how many headlines are you testing, Oli?
with the form or with
Yeah,
this
on that. Yeah, with that.
3
3? Okay. Cool.
is
Just want to
the
make sure you're split testing, which I think you mentioned yesterday, so that's good.
yeah. Just want to make the like. There's a big client wants thousands of leads, so I want the first 100 be as good as possible, so we actually continue. So
Yeah, for sure.
if anyone has any kind of advice for me to make the leads as good as possible, feel free to send it over.
Yeah, I think test quickly and then try and get to a stage where you can run OTP would be what I
Mm.
would do personally.
Yeah,
Cool.
perfect. I appreciate it.
In case you guys didn't know, and if you're watching this video, like John is in the group and he's super, super helpful. So if you have anything, any questions, you can always reach out to John. Don't spam him though. Like post in the group and tag him or something, and then everyone else can help. We're really trying to get everyone to post in the group because we have a lot of people who know a lot of things. And so it's easier than DMing us to do that. Lots of updates coming with lead capture. Stay tuned for more to come. I think it's going to be sweet. So thanks, John, for giving us the rundown. Really appreciate it.